lights and cameras and mirrors.
Oh, hello, it's your boy, Auteur Deluxe. Today, spring has sprung, I think. It's hard to tell in Florida. There's pollen on the cars and the time changed. So we're going to go with that. There's change in the air, so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about some films that I've had a change of heart on. There's a couple of them I can think of, and when I say this, I mean movies that I rated very high, and then I saw them again and went, oh my god, and then rated them very low. Or vice versa, movies that I initially saw and rated very low, and then I watched them again, and wow, this is a lot better than I thought it was, or I've grown and changed, and I really like it now. As always, comment. That's why I'm doing this. I like the interaction. I just want to talk about movies with my friends and with viewers and people that watch this. So what are movies that you thought you really liked and ended up maybe not so much, or vice versa? Movies you thought you hated, and then you watched them again, and actually they're great. First off is the 1977 OG original Suspiria. For whatever reason, the first time I tried to watch this, I think it was about 2009. It was on a disc from Netflix, so it had to have been around then. But I tried to watch it. I fell asleep. I hated it. I really hated it. I couldn't get over the fact that there's not really a story in a traditional sense. There's no real rhyme or reason to anything that's happening. I just thought it was boring, and I couldn't get over the hump that nothing was really adding up. I was a very logical filmmaker at that time. When I was, 2009, I would have been about 23, so I'm bad at math. I remember I couldn't wait till it was over, and I think I even fell asleep. Well, since then, I watched it once last year around Halloween, and then I think I watched it again either the end of last year or beginning of this year. This part doesn't matter, who gives a shit. But I've watched it twice since the time I watched it and thought I fucking hated it. And I was wrong. I'm willing to admit that I was wrong. It is fucking fantastic. It is great. The music is amazing. I listen to the soundtrack all the time. The use of color, it is some of the best, if not the best use of color in any film I've ever seen in my life. And this is why I get mad at these film dorks, these very young film dorks that throw out these proclamations and these hard truths and say, Stanley Kubrick's mid and so is the best and this guy sucks and blah. It's like your tastes change, your views change, your things that you put interest in change. So obviously the way you take in a film is going to change. And that's a good thing. It's fun. That's what makes it so fun. It's already, even if you're very stubborn and stuck in your ways with film, you're still never going to get to the end of it. So you could find hundreds of thousands that you're going to love. But the fact that we grow as people makes it even more fun. So you can revisit some of these things and realize, oh my god, this is one of my favorites. Anyway, again, best use of color I've ever seen. It's an attack on your senses, and it kind of has that thing much like Phantom of the Paradise, where every part is my favorite part. I am watching one part and then I'm excited, anticipating something that's about to happen. Then there's something that happened 2 scenes ago that I want to see again. And then same thing 3 scenes down the road, and I'm excited for that too. There's the weird eyes with the black background. There's the knife going through the door frame. That's fucking incredible. The crack in the door, the knife going through the crack in the door. There's the scene with the dog that bites that guy's throat out. There's the woman falling in like the barbed wire type stuff in the ground. The first 10 minutes alone, enough things happen in the first 10 minutes of Suspiria that it could be its own short film, and it would be the best short film ever. There's that moment where the maggots fall from the ceiling onto Jessica Harper and the other women, and like a 70s movie, and a different 70s movie, you have the record scratch where like Animal House or something, like whatever the fuck happens, someone farts, I don't know, and the record scratches. In Suspiria, the maggots fall, and there's this moment where the synths of the soundtrack make this really weird sound, and it's incredible. It just stops everything and like shakes you into reality or into the story that's going on. This movie, I don't do drugs. I don't like drugs. They scare me, other than, I used to drink. But drugs scare me. This movie makes me feel like I'm on drugs. It makes me fucking euphoric, and I love it. It's almost perfect. The pacing really hurts it. I'm not so much a fan of the pacing. It's like run, and then it goes to a crawl when Udo Kier starts giving like exposition and talking about witches, and it's kind of boring. But that part only lasts maybe 4 minutes, and then the rest of the film is just go. So yeah, for me, this film, I think it went from a half a star to 4.5 stars. So that's a pretty significant jump. Next up is Mulholland Drive. This one, I think, was just a victim of being analyzed to death by the fucking nerds. And I don't even mean like Letterboxd and like Twitter. This is back in the day on IMDb and these other film sites. When I was a kid, I would just see people analyzing this film to death, talked about endlessly, and that made me really not care for it. I remember trying to watch this movie. I got it from the library when it came out, and I fell asleep almost immediately. I've tried to watch this movie about 3 times. I never made it past that scene with the guy from Blood Simple. I should know his name, Dan Hedia, I don't know. But I never made it past that scene in the little person in the executive boardroom. I would make it about there. I would make it about 20 minutes in, and I would just zone the fuck out. Stylistically, I hate the opening of this movie. I think it is so bad. It looks like a Gap commercial in 1998. It's fugly is the best word I could think of for it. But yeah, that really doesn't draw me in. It doesn't give me that come hither feeling. Well, this year, 2021, I gave this film the old college try. I thought if I'm not going to watch it now, I'm never going to watch it. This is before I was working. And again, I was wrong. It is great. It is incredible. Oftentimes, I find myself wanting to rewatch all of Twin Peaks, and I get about 3 episodes in, and then I get distracted. Or I don't like shows. I just would rather watch movies. So this is almost like the entire. Obviously, they're very different, but you get everything I love about Twin Peaks is in Mulholland Drive, and it's in a feature film package. It scratches that itch for me. It has the surreal moments. It has the quirkiness. It has the dark aspects of it. It has a legit mystery. It has very unique performances. Naomi Watts is transformative. I love movies where actors, and especially female actors, show their range like that. You think of A Woman Under the Influence, Jenna Rollins. It's just incredible what her character goes through. You look at her character at the beginning of that film, the very beginning of that film, and she's this like aw shucks Andy Griffith woman, and then at the end of it, completely destroyed, and she goes through that. It's the best performance of hers I've ever seen. A close second would be Funny Games, the U.S. remake of Funny Games, but Mulholland Drive, no one's touching that performance. That's one of the best performances I've ever seen by anyone ever. And I always kind of assumed that David Lynch's movies are kind of weird for the sake of weird, which is one of my big hangups. I hate weird for the sake of weird. And while I do think Eraserhead falls into that to an extent, I still enjoy it, but I do think it is a bit weird for the sake of weird. Same thing with Dune. I just watched the original Dune movie by David Lynch. Fucking hated it. But Mulholland Drive is not that. It is a puzzle movie that works. It really works. And the fact that David Lynch is so hung up on dreams, so hung up on suburbia, so hung up on these familiar relationships and just relationships in general, and like the subconscious, it feeds into it. It's the opposite of weird for the sake of weird. It really, really works. All of these aspects, all of these avenues that David Lynch loves to go down, they strengthen this movie. It's not bullshit to spackle to keep it together like, oh, I don't know, fucking Tenet. So this is another one. It went from 1 star in my book to 4.5 stars. The only reason it's not 5 stars is because of that fucking runtime. Anything that's over 2.5 hours, I don't want to watch more than once. And this film, I know I will get value out of watching it again and again and again. And I'm gonna watch it again. But it's so long. It takes so much for me to press play on a movie that's over 2 hours long. Now let's go the other way. These are movies that I thought I really liked, or I did really like, and now I may have taken a left turn and I don't like them so much. As we get older, I think we really either double down or abandon our adolescent favorite movies. I loved Darren Aronofsky's Pi. That was a very formative movie for me. Pi like the math symbol, not like food. I know you want to go there, but you can't. Not on this one. That was one of my formative movies. Fucking loved it. Talk about weird for the sake of weird. That movie fucking has it all around, and I was completely unaware. But yeah, not so much now when I watch that movie. Do not like it. I watched it in my 20s and fucking hated it. And I'm finding now, the older that I get, you abandon some of the things you liked when you're a teenager. Like I said, people grow, people change, things happen in your life. But I'm finding now, even movies 5 or 10 years ago that I really thought I loved, and I watch them again now, and ooh, I don't love them as much, some of them. So here are 2 of those. Adam Wingard's You're Next is a movie that really appealed to me when it came out. I really liked this movie. It came out in 2011. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was just neat overall. I thought it was kind of different. I really liked those anthology horror movies of the 2010s. I liked VHS, ABCs of Death, Field Guide to Evil. And this fit right into that kind of indie horror 2010s, early 2010s thing. Yeah, I tried to watch this movie again the other night, and it was not happening. We have a lot of indie directors acting in this movie. Ty West, Joe Swanberger in this movie acting, and it gets real meta and real annoying. And also, the camera looks like shit. It's like a lot of shaky cam, but you can tell because it's so indie that it was like a camera that I don't want to say it was cheap, like it doesn't matter. You fucking just make movies. Tangerine was made on an iPhone. But just the way it looks cheap. I don't know, cheap isn't the right word, but it like old Sega CD games, some of the games had like live action, it's all herky jerky and choppy. That's how it looks. It looks very 2010, like this is maybe a second generation HD camera. I'm not a tech guy. I don't know if that's totally accurate. It just looks bad. That's what I'm trying to say. It just looks very bad. The way it's shot looks terrible. I hated it. It went from 3 stars to I think 1 star, maybe even a half star. It has some merits, but I couldn't even fucking sit through it. I mean, it's so far trying to be Scream and just not. It's not Scream. Obviously, a lot of indie movies. Some of my favorite movies are indie movies. Christmas Again is one of my favorite indie movies. John Cassavetes is just fucking trailblazer as far as indie film. But sometimes indie is just synonymous with like bad and amateur, and I think that's kind of what this falls under. Finally is 2012's Holy Motors. This is one of those films I'd just been kind of passively recommending for the past 10 years since I saw it, or in 9 years since I saw it. I thought, oh, it's so cool, it's so deep, so weird, ooh, weird. I watched this at the time, and I had no idea about Carax movies. This was my first Carax movie, and I didn't really know Denis Lavant. And so I really had no frame of reference for these guys, for this actor, for this director. Now that I have that frame of reference, I've seen Lovers on the Bridge, I've seen Malvis Sang, I don't know, it's French, but I've seen those films. With that frame of reference, Holy Motors is so disappointing. Carax takes a 12, 13-year hiatus, and then he comes out with this fucking thing. Lavant is very good. He's a very physical actor, and he's given a whole lot to do in this movie. The whole motion capture sequence, that sequence alone, if that was a standalone short film, would be fucking incredible. But again, Carax just has such better films, and a lot of these sequences talk about weird for the sake of weird. These are just out there and very pretentious, very artsy-fartsy, very up its own ass, trying to be meta. It's some weird comment on film that I don't understand at all. And Carax is so good with emotion. He does emotion so well. And I like when directors swing for the fences with something different. I mean, look at Cassavetes. All of his films are these like intimate relationship type things. And then you have Killing of a Chinese Bookie, which obviously at its core is still an intimate portrait of that guy. But it's a gangster movie. So I like when these directors do this. Carax makes these intimate Lovers on the Bridge, Malvis Sang, these Juliette Binoche, Denis Lavant movies, and then he swings for the fences and makes this insane art house film. Not that those other films aren't art house films either, but just like hard, abstract art house film. And I feel like it could have either been great or it is what it is. Just kind of boring and not enough to keep my interest. Again, Denis Lavant is great in this film, and he's given a lot to do, and he's a very physical actor, and it's very interesting to watch him operate. And there are a shot or two in this movie that are very stunning, but overall, this is just scattered and boring and out there, and again, weird for the sake of weird. And this went from, I think I gave it a 3 or a 3.5 all the way down to a 1. So there you have it. What are some movies that you've flipped and changed your opinion on? I'm interested in to hear. Comment below. All my social media is below. Interact with me. It'll be fun, I promise. Thank you so much. Stay hydrated. Have a good one.